Am I the a-hole for telling my husband to leave after years of him threatening to walk out? I am 42 female and my husband is 44. We have been together since 2010 and married since 2014. We co-founded a company together. He is the technical partner, and I somehow ended up running everything else, such as operations, admin, finance, HR, and client management. I'm also the majority shareholder. For years, our fights have followed the same pattern. Whenever there is conflict, he threatens to leave. I have lost count of how many times I have heard him say he is done or he is leaving. Every time I would calm him down, reassure him, and try to fix the situation. This time, I could not do it anymore. The argument started because he messed up a client schedule. When I pointed it out, he immediately blamed a staff member, even though he never gave them the information they needed. This is something he does often. If something goes wrong, it is rarely his fault. Things escalated very fast. We both yelled. I am not pretending I was calm. I was tired and frustrated. In the middle of the fight, he said again that he was done and wanted to leave our home. For context, the home is a company-owned unit and not a personal marital property. After hearing that same threat for years, I snapped and said, "All right, if that is what you want, then leave. You have 48 hours." That is when everything flipped. Suddenly, I was the cruel one. He said I was throwing him out, that I did not care about his mental health, and that I was abusing my position as majority shareholder. I have never used my role against him in any way. Then he said he would not leave unless the company paid for the accommodation he wanted. The place he wants is far more expensive than anything we would approve for anyone else. We even have a decent temporary unit ready, but he refused it because he said he would not live there. At the same time, he still has full access to company systems, such as admin accounts, technical files, client information, and company-issued devices. I told him that if he leaves, he will need to turn over the company property. That is basic protocol and nothing personal. He said I was punishing him. The reality is that this fight did not come out of nowhere. It is the result of years of the same dynamic. He becomes defensive, positions himself as the victim, minimizes what I and the staff do, and every task he cannot keep up with eventually becomes my responsibility. Every major argument ends with him threatening to leave. This time I did not soothe him. This time I said he could go. Now he is telling people I am the cold, heartless wife who kicked him out and used my position against him. From my side, it feels like I finally set a boundary after years of emotional exhaustion. So Reddit, am I the a-hole for giving him 48 hours and telling him he would need to return company property if he leaves? Now for the top comments. Not the a-hole. He was trying to emotionally manipulate you for years, and now that you stood up for yourself, he's searching for other victims to manipulate, hence talking to others about how mean you are. And if you both go separate ways in the end, just take this as a lesson to not get in professional business with someone who has a close personal connection to you, be it a romantic partner, a parent, a close friend, or an offspring you might have in the future. It often ends up bad because there's always power imbalance in it, whether the power is being abused or not, because this power imbalance gets in people's subconsciousness. And for those who can't separate personal relationships with professional relations, like your husband, their subconsciousness gets them acting messy. You put something into words that I've been avoiding admitting. It really is tough when your partner doesn't treat you right professionally, because it does spill into the personal side no matter how hard you try to keep them separate. I've carried a lot of resentment quietly for years because I kept telling myself it was just work stress, but it affects everything at home too. Seeing someone point it out so plainly makes me realize how much I've been holding in. Not the a-hole. Of course not. He's been using that threat against you to manipulate you for all these years, so he's mad that it's lost its power over you. The only thing he's a victim of is his own manipulativeness. Good riddance to the mentally abusive loser. Because he's abusive though, please watch out for your safety. Abuse escalates rapidly at times like these. Thank you for this. Every time I call out something he does, he tells me I'm the one abusing him, which has honestly made me question myself so many times and almost believed him. He always frames himself as the one who's hurt or neglected, even when he's the one who escalated or created the problem in the first place. I think I got so used to cushioning everything for him that I didn't realize how much he relies on flipping things back on me whenever he's confronted. This whole situation just made it clear how long that pattern has been happening. I appreciate the reminder to be careful too. I'm taking things step by step and trying not to let him rewrite what actually happened. Next story. Am I the a-hole for leaving when my husband said he'd help me in 30 days so we're on the page? I've been with my husband for 9 years, married for 7. We have 2 children, a 4-year-old and a 10-month-old. With my eldest, I had no issues. I gave birth, stayed home with her, and was able to function normally. Of course, there were some postpartum hormones, but nothing terrible. After the birth of my youngest, I slipped into postpartum depression. I was very overwhelmed and stressed. It started out as what I considered normal postpartum hormones, and I figured going from 1 to 2 is naturally hard. But as the months passed, things got worse. My anxiety and intrusive thoughts were getting more and more overwhelming. It took a very scary incident for me to seek help when my son was 8 months old. I thought I was just going to see a therapist, but ended up being admitted for 72 hours. After talking with a variety of professionals and my husband, we agreed it was best for me to seek further inpatient treatment. I was worried about my husband juggling the house and the kids, but thankfully, our village stepped up. We had 2 family friends who rotated watching our kids during the day at the respective friends' houses. Someone else stepped in to do laundry. Another person made meals. From what I've heard, they were doing their best to make sure my husband's life changed as minimally as possible, and the kids' routine remained the same. The only thing my husband had to do was put the kids to bed at night, get them ready in the morning, and clean around the house, as well as work. I knew it'd be tight, but he swore it'd be done. I was gone 30 days. My kids and husband visited me once a week. Things seemed fine. My husband just kept saying, "Worry about you." Before I left treatment, I had a few sessions with my husband where we both agreed he needed to step up more around the house, and I needed to be better about asking for help. I got home from treatment and the house was a mess. I don't think my husband cleaned it at all while I was gone. Our eldest's room hadn't been tidied either, toys and clothes strewn everywhere. It's then my husband chose to tell me that she refused to clean it up, and he didn't want to push it. The next day, I helped her clean it, and we had a talk about listening when mommy or daddy asks her to tidy up. It was a Saturday, and I asked my husband to please help me clean the house. He made excuses about how tired he was from work. I got upset and reminded him about our talk in therapy. He said that could start later and he had done all the work while I was gone, and it was my turn to catch up. I was in so much shock from the conversation that I just cleaned, but the rage slowly simmered. I ended up calling my therapist to work through the emotions, and she encouraged me to try talking to him again. I waited until the kids went to bed and first asked how he was doing. I let him talk about his feelings because I know me going away wasn't easy. Afterward, I shared my feelings and calmly said I was very frustrated that we talked about him helping me more, and already it wasn't happening. I asked how he would feel coming home after 30 days to a messy house. I pointed out that he had people taking the kids on the weekend. He had so many points, but I said I could also understand just being overwhelmed and not wanting to even help me that day really hurt. He told me again that I was overreacting and that he'll start helping me in 30 days because that's how long he was left to do it on his own. I ended up leaving that night. I took the kids and we went to stay with a relative. In the month since, we've seen each other. He takes the kids on the weekends. We're starting couples counseling soon, but I said I'm not sure if I want to stay in this relationship, given that he's weaponizing all this against me. He keeps telling me I'm crazy. My family's on my side, but his family is telling me that I overreact and am ungrateful. Our friends seem mixed. The ones who helped the most during that time are on my side and said if he had asked for help cleaning, they would have. I maintain I'm not leaving because I came back to a messy house, but rather his attitude when I returned. I'm also not saying I'm going to divorce him, just that we need massive counseling. Am I really in the wrong for this? Your husband does not sound like a good person. You are not the a-hole, in any way. 1. He called you crazy after you were at inpatient mental health treatment for 30 days. That is a terrible thing to say, and you can't convince me it wasn't intentional word choice. 2. People were making meals, doing the laundry, and watching the kids. Now that you are home, you are what? Expected to do all of that by yourself? And he thinks that's reasonable to provide some sort of cosmic balance to his world? Who the heck does he think he is? 3. What did your therapist say when you told them about this "you owe me 30 days" BS? Have you had a couple sessions since then? This man is horrible, and you deserve so much better. My therapist agreed with me leaving. She pointed out most of what you said. He had so much help when I was gone. The whole reason I got as bad as I did is I had no help, which is partially on me for not asking anyone, but it doesn't change that he had a whole village and I didn't. My therapist hasn't told me to divorce, but I can tell she'd be on board if I said I was going to. It sounds like nothing of value will be lost by leaving him. Why the doubt? Does he make your life better or easier or worse/harder? I wanted to try to make it work. I felt like it was my fault things were getting bad because my mental health took a dip. Now I see even with my eldest, he was barely helping and made a lot of excuses. And that's when I was in good shape. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my partner I'm tired of pausing my life for his video games? For context, I, 21 female, and my boyfriend, 24 male, have been dating for almost 2 years now. When he and I first met, we both worked a lot, and he was newer to town, so he wasn't playing his video games as often. He'd play if I was at school or working. Fast forward 6 to 7 months, and he and I are living together. Currently, he has been playing at least 8 hours a day, and we very rarely go to bed together anymore. Our intimate life is lacking, and I honestly feel neglected emotionally. There have been multiple times in the last month where he has been completely clueless about something I know I have spoken to him about, and he'll blame it on crappy selective hearing that all men have. Honestly, I feel that his actions recently have been inexcusable. I work full-time and am in nursing school. He finished school today and has yet to find a job. My final straw, though, was about 2 weeks ago. I'm on my way home from a 14-hour shift. I don't want to cook. I just want to relax and spend some time with my man. I call him asking if he's eaten and if he's hungry. He states that he hasn't eaten, but that he is hungry. I then tell him that I am on my way and will pick him up from home so we can go have dinner. He responds, "But I'm playing games with the boys." Fast forward, I come home after eating dinner and having a drink alone, and there he is playing World of Warcraft. I let out a sigh and go into my bedroom, where our basket of clean laundry was placed onto the bed and was unfolded. I fold and put the laundry away, proceed to shower, and lie down. He wakes me up 45 minutes later, asking what we're doing for dinner. I freaked out on him, telling him he's an adult and he can figure it out himself, and that I'm tired of pausing my life so he can live out some fantasy BS on a PC. I think the thing that's frustrating me is that he's shown me he can be better than this. Do I continue to ride it out and hope that this is just his way of maladaptively coping with being jobless? Or do I present an ultimatum? He woke you up, asking about dinner? With food in the house, presumably? Yet, he woke you up? That is correct. He didn't realize I had eaten dinner alone. I ended up blowing up on him about this Thanksgiving night and told him that I thought it was pathetic and childish to prioritize a video game over ensuring my investment was taken care of, spending time with someone and/or being intimate. He then said that he felt crappy about not having a job and that he has been applying to places, etc., which I know he has, and that he feels like everyone around him has just been hounding him for things he can't control at the moment. And I told him that there will be ups and downs with life, times where the other person has to help out and hold the reins. However, he can control communication, respect, and effort. Is he applying to any job or a job that he wants? He needs to apply for anything if it's the latter, otherwise he might need to revise his resume and make it better. We both have revised his resume, and he is applying for anything. Last story. Am I the a-hole for wanting to pull my daughter from her art class after her friend told me my husband was flirting with her mom? My 44 female daughter, 13 female, does not have many friends at school and has been getting into trouble because of her behavior. We have been trying to get her involved in more activities so she can meet new people. She started an art class a few months ago and it seemed to be going well. She gets along with the girls there, and she especially connected with one friend, 14 female. I have met this friend's mom a few times while picking my daughter up. About 3 months ago, the mom told me she was considering taking her daughter out of the group because of her work schedule. Then she directly asked if I could pick her daughter up every week and drop her off at their house. It felt like a pretty bold thing to ask, especially since we did not know each other very well. But I checked the address, and it was an easy detour for me, so I agreed. Over time, I got to know my daughter's friend a bit more, and honestly, I have mixed feelings about her. She comes across as kind of mean. She gossips a lot and says nasty things about the other girls in the class. For about a month, I could not do the pickups because of work, so my husband handled it. He never complained or mentioned anything unusual. Last week, when I started doing pickups again, my daughter's friend made a strange comment. She referred to my husband as my ex-husband. When I corrected her, she said she just assumed we were divorced. I asked why, and she said it was because of how my husband and her mom flirted with each other whenever he dropped her off. She said it as if it were a joke. My daughter was in the car but did not say anything. I became upset and told her to stop lying, but she told me to ask my husband if he had offered to come to their house and fix their pool heater. That sounded completely made up, because my husband knows nothing about pool heaters. That night I asked him, and to my surprise, he admitted he had said that. He told me it was just a throwaway comment to be polite, and he never planned to actually do it. We had a big argument. He denies having done anything inappropriate beyond that. Now I am considering taking my daughter out of the class. I do not want our family involved with that other family at all, but at the same time, this girl is my daughter's only real friend right now, and she loves the class. I am not sure what to do. You could tell the kid's mom that you can no longer provide transportation for her daughter. Cut out the threat while not punishing your daughter. Sounds like the only threat is the husband, who either started flirting with a woman or didn't nip it in the bud when she started it. I feel like you are creating a tempest in a teapot. Your whole suspicion of your husband is based on wobbly info. 1. He offered to help with a pool heater, okay? Didn't you agree to help this woman driving her daughter around for the rest of the year yourself? Why are you allowed to help this woman but not your husband? 2. The word of an unreliable teenager whose whole life seems to be about gossips and saying nasty and mean things about others. Have your husband ever given you reasons not to trust him? Unless there is a past we don't know about. And you're the a-hole for thinking of pulling your daughter from an activity she enjoys. If he is really flirting with this woman, don't take it out on your daughter. She has nothing to do with this situation. This is between your husband and you. Don't punish her for that. Imagine giving your partner grief and taking away something from your child because of the words of an a-hole 14-year-old kid. Strong agree you're the a-hole. Am I the a-hole for not returning the business I inherited from my late father-in-law after I got divorced? My late father-in-law passed away more than a decade ago. He owned a small but respected car shop, and I started working for him when I was just 15. I'd always loved working with my hands and was obsessed with engines, tools, and anything automotive. He noticed my dedication early on, took me under his wing, and taught me everything he knew. That shop is actually how I met my now ex-wife, his daughter, since I spent so much time around their family growing up. He had 4 kids, 2 sons and 2 daughters. All of them pursued professional careers, lawyers and doctors, and not a single one of them had any interest in the shop. I was the only one besides him who knew the business, cared about it, or ever put in the work. So when he became too sick to keep running it and eventually decided to retire, he passed the business down to me. He told me he trusted me, that I loved the shop the way he did, and that I'd keep it alive. His kids didn't object at the time. Everyone knew they had their own careers, and none of them wanted to take over. He passed away later that year, and since then, I've run the shop and grown it into something bigger than either of us imagined. Then a few years ago, everything changed. My wife cheated on me with another doctor she worked with. Since we live in an at-fault state and I had solid proof of her cheating, the divorce settlement was heavily in my favor. I kept the house, most of the money, and because she's infertile, there was no issue of child support. No alimony either. Our marriage ended and I tried to move on. Now, suddenly, she and her entire family are demanding that I give back the business. They argue that because I'm no longer part of their family, I have no right to keep their father's legacy. They've gone from demanding to practically begging, insisting it belongs to them. But when the transition happened, everything was done legally. The paperwork is rock solid. More importantly, for over a decade I've poured my time, sweat, and literal blood into that shop. I expanded it, modernized it, and kept it alive when no one else cared. To me, it's not just my father-in-law's legacy anymore, it's mine too. And I don't plan on giving it up until I retire. So, am I the a-hole here? Not the a-hole. Her dad started it. You took over and it's been yours since, not theirs. Don't ever give up your shop to them. It's your legacy, not anyone else's. Her dad picked you when none of them even wanted the shop. They don't get to repossess your career because she blew up the marriage. Especially since he's grown the business. You know, that is the only reason why they want the business back. It's because he's probably making a nice profit now. That's what greedy people do. Didn't want to have anything to do with the business. Went on to live their best lives. Now and all of a sudden it's dad's legacy and they want it back? Looks to me that they want to sell to somebody else at a profit. Under no circumstances are you to even think about giving this business back to them. Don't even acknowledge their request. If you must, get a cease and desist order from your lawyer. This is just totally asinine. Not the a-hole. I am a petty individual when I'm wronged, so your story makes me pretty happy. That's how I feel. You should send a text to the whole family and tell them the one they should be mad at is their sister. And maybe if she wasn't a cheater, the business would still be a part of their family. Or you can offer to sell it back to them at 2 times the value. When they ask why so high, you can tell them you applied a cheater tax. Not the a-hole. He gave it to you, not just because you were his son-in-law, but because you were the one to most likely take care of it. What are they going to do with it? None of them knows anything about car more than checking fluids, and my ex-brothers-in-law have too many back issues now to even change a tire. Hell no! Forget these scumbags and their sudden care for legacy. They just want to hurt your livelihood and sell the damn thing. If father-in-law was still around, I have a strong suspicion that he would still want you to run the business he built that you have diligently continued. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife that I will lose respect for her if she doesn't apologize? Plus update. My wife and I have 3 kids. Thursday, my wife was helping our 9-year-old with her homework. She was supposed to fill in a chart with the times tables. That was a hectic day. Our 4-year-old threw up, and I was trying to clean him up, and my wife was having trouble getting our 9-year-old to focus on what she was doing because she kept looking at me. Our 9-year-old hates math and is pretty bad at it, which annoys my wife, who is usually fantastic at math. My wife asked our daughter what 7 times 7 was. Our daughter said she didn't know. My wife kept telling her to try to think of any answer. She kept saying she didn't know. My wife was getting frustrated. Our daughter finally guessed 37. My wife said, "Close, 47. Our 13-year-old then said, "No, Mom, it's 49. My wife snapped at that point and told him to shut up and go upstairs. He went into the backyard instead. She took a deep breath and then went into our room. I finished with our 4-year-old and then went outside. I tried to talk to him, but he didn't want to listen. He kept saying, "But Dad, 7 times 7 is 49. I told him his mom just got frustrated and didn't mean to yell at him. He kept insisting that 7 times 7 is 49, which I am aware of, so I got nowhere. I went back inside to talk to my wife. She said she knew she shouldn't have yelled. She said she was frustrated because he was distracting her, and that's why she made the mistake. I pointed out that she made the mistake before he said anything. She started crying and asked why I was being so critical. I apologized and told her I loved her. We hugged it out, but then I asked her if she was going to go and apologize to our 13-year-old. She said no, because he shouldn't have interrupted her. She said he was rude and needed to learn not to interrupt. I told her it's not okay to tell him to shut up. We went back and forth, and finally I said I won't be able to respect her as much if she doesn't apologize. That really hurt her. She said she needed space. She hasn't said a word to me or him since Thursday. I know that what I said is harsh, but I can't respect someone who won't apologize when they make a mistake. Am I the a-hole? My sister says I am because I'm not being supportive, and our 13-year-old is a lot. A lot of people forget that adults aren't always right and children aren't always wrong. She needs to apologize for snapping at your child. I told her that, but she said it has nothing to do with a math problem, and that it's about his bad habit of interrupting. I think that since he was trying and succeeding really to be helpful, that doesn't count as interrupting. He didn't interrupt. He offered a correction which his sibling actually needed. Your wife was wrong, would have made your kids work wrong, and your 13-year-old was actually being helpful. Is your son really a lot? Or is he just dismissed so often he finds other ways of getting attention? I mean, this is a very small glimpse into your family dynamics, but this story just made me feel badly for your kid. He kept saying it's 49 because he's right and wanted it acknowledged. All your wife had to say was, "Oh, oops, you're right," and use that as a lesson to help your 9-year-old learn it's okay to be wrong, and that even when you're good at something, you can still make a mistake. The fact that your wife has iced out her husband and son over multiplication is frankly embarrassing and juvenile. A lot is vague and kind of unfair. I used that phrase only because my sister did. He's 13. He never wants to come inside when we tell him to. He always wants to take the dog on a walk or ride his bike, even if the sun is down, which we don't allow. He frequently wants to practice his recorder when we've told him it's quiet time. These are behaviors we are working on, but they do seem to be getting to my wife. As for the interrupting, it is an issue. It's an issue we are working on. I don't think it justifies snapping. It should be an ongoing conversation. I also don't feel like this counts as interrupting because he was trying to be helpful, not derail the topic. She hasn't spoken to her son in 3 days and she was in the wrong? Ouch. Honestly, I'd just tell my 13-year-old that 7 times 7 is 49, and mom got mad because she got it wrong. So childish to not apologize. I did try to explain that, but he didn't get it. For him, it's all about the math problem. The fact that he got it right is all he can focus on. His mom's frustration doesn't factor in for him. Now for the update. My wife got up before our alarm and started cleaning our bathroom. I started the laundry and made breakfast. She didn't say a word when she sat down to eat. She ate much faster than normal. She stood up, picked up our 4-year-old, and told our 9-year-old to get ready because they were going to the library. She didn't say anything to our 13-year-old. I told her we need to talk, and she shook her head. I followed her upstairs and insisted that we need to talk. She just kept shaking her head. She went into our 4-year-old's room and locked the door. I went downstairs and told our 13 and 9-year-old that we are going to the dog park. They both asked if mom was okay, and I said yes and that she needed space. I grabbed some clothes for our 9-year-old from the laundry room, and she got changed in the downstairs bathroom. We are at the dog park, and my wife is refusing to answer my texts. I'm starting to think this isn't about math. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not realizing how much help my pregnant sibling needed? Plus update. I, 40 female, have a sister, 38 female, who is 7 months into her second pregnancy. She is married and also has another child who is 3. Recently, some extended family reached out about wanting to get together, and we were supposed to go to a restaurant for dinner. My sibling asked me about switching it to her house, since it would be easier for her. We decided we would order food so she didn't have to cook and briefly threw out some ideas. A few days before, my sibling made a passive comment that she would be cooking because it would be too expensive to cater, and I said I was confused because we were all going to contribute. She still insisted on cooking. So I rolled with it, and we sorted out what I would bring. We chatted about other stuff up until the day before dinner. Everything was fine. The day of dinner, I called my sibling 2 hours before the scheduled time, so I could let her know I was heading over a little early to help. I got my butt handed to me. My pregnant sibling had been spending all day cleaning and preparing, while I thought I was going to just show up an hour before. She said they only agreed to lend me their house to host. I swear this was never said, and that I should have been there hours ago helping out. I started to say, "Hey, I'm sorry. If you needed me there earlier, all you had to do was ask," and got screamed at that I should have known and that everyone was saying how wrong it was for me to throw this dinner on the pregnant woman, and that I looked like a real a-hole to the family as she hung up on me. A subsequent phone call to my mom ended with an angry, "She's pregnant and you're upsetting her," justification without any opportunity to hear my side. I'm sure there is an element of hormones at play, but I don't think it's fair that I'm automatically wrong in the a-hole because someone is pregnant. So Reddit, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. So, your sibling moved the location of the meal because it would be easier for her, and is now making a fuss because of all the work involved? Your sister made a series of decisions that created this situation, and at no point said anything or reached out for help. This is all on her. You are not a mind reader. You could not know. And at every turn, you offered solutions that would have made things easier. Your sister needs to get over herself. Not the a-hole. Call everyone immediately and say, "Hey, this is overwhelming for sis, so let's move it back to the restaurant." She doesn't get to demand it be done at her place, demand to cook, and then turn into an utter nightmare because she can't do what she demanded to do. This is the way. I'm in a similar situation to you, OP. My sister is a mom to 3 while I don't have any children. There have been so many times over the years where she uses her mom card to dictate and demand things, and in her eyes, no matter what I do, I'm always wrong because she's a mom and I'm not. Some days is absolutely wild, and even our family's blown away by how fast she'll 180 on us, using her role as a mom as her go-to excuse. Basically set the precedent now instead of letting her get away with this behavior. From my experience, these actions will only get worse over time. It happens a lot with us too, and I can't believe it. I've listened to her vent many times about her in-laws, our family, whoever and whatever. Even if I'm busy, I make the time. Then, when it's my turn, she is always too busy and plays the, "You're not a mom, so you don't get it." She's right. I'm not a mom and can't possibly fully understand her struggle. But that doesn't make me any less intelligent or important. Now for the update. I ended up calling my extended family and saying that it was too much for my sister with her pregnancy for all of us to be at her house, and that we needed to cancel or move the location. My extended family then called my sister, who told them she was sorry but dinner was canceled. Dinner didn't happen. I agree with some comments that my sister thought she could handle it, and then got overwhelmed. I suspect her husband wasn't being much help, so she got on his case, and he may have turned around and said, "I thought you were planning this with your sister. Why isn't she here helping?" to get her off his case, which set her off on me. When I said, "Why haven't you called to ask where I am if you felt I should be there already? Why are you waiting until I call you?" She told me it was common sense and courtesy, that I should have known she would need help, that this was my plan with our extended family, and she was being kind enough to lend her house. I pointed out it was her idea to move locations and was told, irregardless. Mom will not fight with my sister because she's afraid of losing access to the grandchildren. I'm upset and embarrassed at the dysfunction, and I know I'm not going to get an apology. My sister will just avoid me and then want to act like nothing happened, as per her MO. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not being happy that my brother-in-law and his girlfriend are finally pregnant after how they treated me and my child? When I was 22, my husband was 36. I got pregnant and announced it at a family party. My brother-in-law and his girlfriend were 23 and 25 at the time. The reaction to our news was flat. People just said things like, "Oh, thought you looked a bit big," and moved on. Later I found out my brother-in-law and his girlfriend told everyone that I had said, "We got pregnant before you, haha." I never said that. At the time, they had suffered a miscarriage and couldn't get pregnant again, so their lie really hurt me. After that, they completely cut us off. They refused to celebrate Christmas with us, ignored us, didn't visit when my son was born, skipped his name-giving party, and never acknowledged him. Once, my brother-in-law was supposed to pick up baby things from my sister-in-law. They were neighbors, and bring them to us. But he said he'd rather stay home gaming. They bought presents for all the other kids in the family, except mine. Fast forward to today, 14 years later, they are finally pregnant. My husband expects me to be happy for them. I told him no, I'm not. They don't mean anything to me. They ignored my child for his entire life and spread lies about me. Why should I celebrate them now? My husband compared my reaction to wishing them dead, which I never said. All I said is that I don't care about them. So, am I the a-hole for not being happy about their pregnancy after how they treated me and my son? Info for clarifications. We've had minimal contact with the family over the years. My son is autistic and has not understood that he was badly treated by them, which in some ways has spared him from the hurt I've felt. My brother-in-law and his girlfriend told everyone that I had said, "We got pregnant before you, My husband compared my reaction to wishing them dead. Does this nonsense run in his family? Because it seems like it does. When a 36-year-old gets a 22-year-old pregnant, I'm not sure quite how mature you expect him to be honest. Later you found out that your brother-in-law and his girlfriend said XYZ, but how did you find that out? Did your husband tell you? Or did you get multiple people telling you the same thing? And why didn't your husband stand up for you in that situation? That is his job, to defend his wife when she's being attacked and treated like crap. Not even gonna get into the problematic issue with the age gap here, because you were already married and pregnant at 22. So you had to have been even younger when you two first started dating, and that makes it even more icky than it normally would be. Age gaps aren't such a big deal when both people have some real-life experience and can make better decisions and mature judgment calls. People in their early 20s are not there yet. That applies to any gender, not just women for the record. The way he is talking to you about his brother and sister-in-law being pregnant now is setting off alarm bells for me just from that short bit of convo. Stay safe and take care of yourself and your son. Her husband didn't stand up for her because he's the one who spread the lie. My company got rid of bonus incentive to work on holidays. Is mad nobody worked on their holidays. The company I work for does this thing where, to win clients, they base all their contracts around real days and not business days. This means that we need staff on site 7 days a week and on all holidays to stay on top of turnaround times and avoid late penalties. However, this is skilled white-collar STEM work that requires a solid foundation in biology and chemistry. They need to offer weekends off and paid holidays at a minimum to be competitive with other employers in the industry. So for years, they offered a 2 times overtime rate for weekend hours. And if you worked on your paid holiday, you'd get full holiday pay, plus 3 times overtime for all hours worked. Shortly before Christmas, HR sent an email stating that, effective immediately, there would no longer be a holiday incentive. Said, paid holidays are an extra benefit meant for you to have time to relax. If you choose to work any hours on a paid holiday, you forfeit the holiday hours. And as a reminder, overtime is only after 40 hours of actual work. Working on your regularly scheduled day will not count. I got in this morning to find an email from my management team saying they were surprised and disappointed that only 2 people volunteered to work on December 25th and 26th. And that nobody worked January 1st or 2nd, despite multiple requests for volunteers. Because nobody was willing to be team players, the company now stands to lose close to a 6-figure amount in penalties for missed turnaround times. Oh well, so sad. You only get as much loyalty as you're willing to pay for. Now for the top comments. Just so I understand, working on a holiday was unpaid? Totally unpaid, not even straight time? They used to offer an extremely generous overtime incentive to work holidays. Now, you can either take the holiday pay and stay home, or get paid your regular wage and work. No overtime, no bonus. If you work at all on the holiday, you forfeit the entire holiday pay. So if you wanted to be nice and just work a half day to pitch in, you'd actually lose money. So basically, your options are to work a full shift for a normal day of pay, work a partial shift and use your vacation time to make up the difference, or stay home and still get a normal day of pay. It was, for some reason, surprising to them that literally everyone chose the option that meant normal money and no work. Nobody was willing to be team players. Their job on the team was to pay the rest of the team to do the work. Let's think again about who wasn't a team player. You have to pay the players. If you don't pay them, they won't show up. Teamwork makes the dream work, if you pay them. Why is it every time they try to save money, they end up costing themselves more money? Because not paying staff is an immediate saving. They don't care about looking at the numbers a month later. Very sustainable. Them, holidays are for you to stay home and relax. Also them, WTF, everyone stayed home and relaxed on the holidays. Make it make sense. The cynical part of me thinks they're laying the groundwork to get rid of paid holidays as a benefit. Come Labor Day, they'll point to this as justification. Yikes, that's absurd. I work in an environmental analytical lab, but we get decent options to make sure we can catch hold times over the holidays. They, new corporate overlords, asked us to split up Christmas Eve and the day after, and that worked out for us. People with kids wanted the eve off. I wanted a long weekend. We have someone who comes in on weekends sometimes who can catch things if we're really slammed, and a general atmosphere of the client shouldn't have dropped it off with less than a day of hold time right before holidays. My department is also very good about cross-training and being able to cover people using PTO without too much pain. I'd be dusting off your CV and speaking to a recruiter ASAP, just in case. With skills in biochem, something better is out there. The hunt for something new started a while ago. I've got my sights set on relocating to a new state, so that adds some challenge, but there are definitely opportunities I'm pursuing. Next story. I quit my job after they refused to promote me. They are now hiring 3 people to replace me for almost double the cost. Feeling vindicated and annoyed today. Long story short, I quit my job last week. I left because the workload is insane. I'm constantly taken advantage of. The leadership team is a joke, and they refuse to give me a raise. Even though I do the jobs of multiple people, have had nothing but glowing performance reviews, and have been told that the company would not exist without me, since I helped support the company through a god-awful time. I digress. They begged me to stay, pleaded. I said no. Now they're scrambling to fill the gap. I get an email asking me to review the new job descriptions. They are hiring 3 people to replace me and the work I'm currently doing. The duties for the one job I'm doing now were dispersed over 3 different job descriptions. Honestly, good for them for realizing one person cannot do it alone. But I'm not going to lie, it feels pretty freaking validating to see that they need 3 people to fill my one job. As vindicated as I feel, I also feel ashamed that I went on as long as I did, putting up with all this BS and doing the jobs of 3 people at once. They also could have saved themselves a heck of a lot of money by just giving me the raise I asked for. Edit. A lot of people seem to be confused about me reviewing the job descriptions. I quit last week, but I gave a 2-week notice. I am still employed by the company, and they asked me to review the descriptions as part of my everyday work. For those saying that me reviewing the descriptions will contribute to new employees joining a toxic workplace, these roles are going to be filled either way. People will take them. I'm not some snake leading vulnerable people to the company because I edited a job description. Now, if any prospective employee reaches out to me about my time there and why I left, I will be brutally honest and tell them to run far away. I've also already left negative Glassdoor and Indeed reviews. I'm doing what I can do. This is a cautionary tale for everybody. Act your wage, and you won't get tasked with more work. Yep, learned this the hard way. Thankfully, I'm still a young professional, so I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to learn this now rather than later. How does the total salary of the 3 jobs compare to your pay? I won't use the actual numbers, but here is the gist. I'm making $90,000. I asked for a raise to $95,000. They declined, saying that my ask didn't fit their pay ladder given my level of education. The new positions pay as follows: one $50,000 role and 2 $60,000 roles equaling to about $170,000. Also, these positions will be brutally underpaid, sadly. Safe to say they should have just given me that raise. They finally offered it to me when I said I was done, classic, but I realized it just wasn't worth it. To give more detail, don't ever become irreplaceable at work. If you are doing 3 people's work, why would they ever want to promote you? They would have to hire 3 people to replace you. They will bend over backward to keep you where you are. I've learned this the hard way several times. You're right, thank you for sharing this. I really needed to hear this. I will be approaching my next position very differently. And they want you to review your replacements? Only if they pay you a consultation fee. Nothing for free, my friend. Oh, I'm definitely not sticking around for the hiring process. They just wanted me to look at the written job descriptions. I'm leaving at the end of the year, and after that, they are getting nothing from me. Next story. Management denies basic leave and then acts shocked when people quit. I'm a project manager at a software organization, and I honestly still can't fully process what just happened this week. We're a mid-sized team, with 5 developers working closely with me on a major UI revamp. It's a big effort, lots of refactoring, redesigns, and last-minute adjustments. And, as usual, the timelines are tight. About a month ago, during festival season, a few developers requested time off. Nothing unusual or unreasonable. One wanted leave for his wedding anniversary. Another asked for a time off for his child's first birthday. A couple of others simply wanted to go home and spend time with their families during the holidays. Management's response was a flat-out no. The justification was that the goal for the new UI changes wasn't completed yet. There was no flexibility, no discussion, no attempt at compromise, just a hard refusal. Deadlines over everything. At the time, it already felt wrong. These weren't frivolous requests, they were important life moments. But leadership treated them as inconveniences. Unfortunately, that was only the beginning. Not long after that decision, 2 of the developers quietly started interviewing. They both received offers from another company and resigned properly, following their contracts to the letter. They submitted formal resignations and agreed to serve the standard 30-day notice period. Everything was clean, professional, and by the book. Fast forward to today. Their last working day is tomorrow, Thursday. Out of nowhere, HR stepped in and announced that their notice periods were being extended by another 30 days. No advance warning, no clear contractual clause explained, just pressure, emotional manipulation, and vague language about business needs. It was painfully obvious what was happening. Leadership suddenly realized the team was falling apart and tried to trap people who had already made plans to leave. These developers have new jobs lined up. Their exits are planned. Their lives are already moving forward. And now they're being told at the very last minute that they can't go. As the PM sitting in the middle of all this, I feel genuinely sick. This is how you destroy morale. This is how you guarantee that no one ever trusts leadership again. First, you deny leave for weddings, anniversaries, and a child's first birthday. Then when people finally decide they've had enough, you try to hold them hostage when they resign? What's worse is that leadership still frames this behavior as commitment and ownership. But this isn't dedication. It's not loyalty. It's unethical behavior dressed up as company policy. The developers are still leaving tomorrow. HR can shout all they want. But this situation has made one thing painfully clear to me as well. If this is how engineers are treated, project managers aren't special. We're not protected. We're just as replaceable when it's convenient for leadership. The system is broken, and it's exhausting to watch good people get screwed for doing absolutely nothing wrong. Why don't these guys just leave? I thought a contract can't be changed without both parties agreeing. They are. They've already resigned and are walking. HR is just posturing and trying to scare them on the way out, but you can't extend a notice period. They can extend the contract 30 years. The employees don't have to honor it. Exactly. It's mad. If I were you or the others working there, I would be gone the second I had another offer. They will absolutely treat you like crap the second they can. They deserve to have the whole team fold and walk because of this BS. The implication that they can just keep extending contracts on people who are already leaving against their will, or even after that person acted in good faith within the 30-day window, and retroactively change their position like that, is so ballsy. I would love to have a follow-up to this to see what kind of whining results. Good luck to you all. Yeah, the audacity is wild. Watching them panic and try to rewrite reality in real time has been something. If there's fallout, I'll definitely update. Last story. Reported my workplace to OSHA. Here's what happened. Last time I posted on the sub, it was to vent about the low pay and general dickheadery of my workplace. I still work there. Considering the job market is the way it is, the company continues to be hell-bent on making work miserable. General background: this company is a multi-billion-dollar international retailer with in-house repair. Something, the largest blah 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 in the world. Current revenue is around $7 billion, and they're working to become an industry monopoly. As such, anyone above a single location level is an ass. I am part of in-house repair. Specific background: our new manager, Jack, gained his new rung on the ladder about 6 months ago. Capital M manager, because he's managing other managers, so he's a head manager. And his head is appropriately inflated to go with that promotion. What's it inflated with? Hot steaming corporate sucker juice. Of late, we've been subjected to visits where he tells us all about how there's gonna be changes around here. And when pressed to expand on those changes, it's either nothing good or nothing at all. Educational opportunities and new bonus rates. Fake incentives. Recently, Jack was on a soapbox about his economic theory, asserting with absolute confidence that the company can't just raise everyone's pay because that will cause the price of everything to go up. Everyone is nodding and pretending to listen, and I say nothing, because I don't want to draw attention to myself as being better educated than he thought. I'm not a fool. He's prepping everyone for a crappy raise when merit raises come around this year. Now, with the cost of living in this area being roughly $19 per hour full-time for a single adult with no kids, MIT calculator, our wages are already too low. I make $17.40, and the rank below me makes $15. Most jobs in this area start around $15 and rarely exceed $17. However, we work in a position that is classified as a trade, meaning it's skilled labor. A local plumber makes roughly $25 per hour, so we are quite underpaid. This company complains bitterly about how they can't keep employees. Big surprise. We are underpaid without justification, but moving on. We had a piece of equipment break down. Expensive equipment with dangerous electric and photonic components. We told Jack, and he said to call the company that made it. The technician made the mistake of telling us to fix it ourselves. The mistake was that this opened our machine and an entire can of worms to research, which led to some interesting discoveries on my part about what this machine could do to an unwary tamperer. Cancer, blindness, death by electrocution. OSHA also knew all of this, and they were overjoyed to hear from me, as our company has many of these machines in many locations that are certainly in violation of the same safety laws. Cue Jack coming for an unplanned visit, looking like death had dialed the wrong number. I guess he thought it was all roses and sunshine from here on out, but something tells me all the managers on the rungs above him are a little shaken. In 30 days, I am meant to report back to OSHA about the status of these violations, and I most certainly will. And yes, I did put my name on the report. I've been a top performer in the area more than once, and I want them to know it was me. Report your workplace to OSHA. We have so little power as workers these days, so make as much noise as possible. Good on you, but listen carefully. Start keeping a daily log of events at work. They're going to look for ways to retaliate. Jack seems dumb enough to do it stupidly, but if your HR is halfway competent, they'll find a better way. So start documenting what happens at work, especially interactions with management. If a manager halfway alludes to, "We're a family," and family keeps problems in the house, document it. If your schedule changes from its norm, ask why and document it. This isn't about keeping your job. It's about proving retaliation after you get fired. I know my job is toast within 6 months, and I'm okay with that. I'm saving everything and keeping it all together. Oh, he already said that line. Also noted for future reference. My canary in the coal mine is that I am up for a promotion, and if that disappears, I will have a good indicator of where things stand and how quickly they're moving. If anything worth an update happens, I'll update this post. Union plumbers in Chicago make over $60 on the check, plus another $40 in benefits. Your whole area is massively underpaid. You're in a skilled trade. You should organize. I mean, the company hates you already. Might as well finish them off. It's on my to-do list. Wages are miserable here. We aren't an essential trade, so I wouldn't expect plumber levels of pay, but $20 an hour starting does not seem like a high bar to me. Are they in violation of any fire codes? You call the fire marshal and they get shut down immediately. OSHA is good, but fire marshals are stone cold and hit fast and hard. Might save that for later. I'm certain we're in violation of fire code too.